The Cubs win the series. So why do we feel disappointed? I'm David Butler, and this is Clark and Aslan, Born into the Ivy. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review and a comment or two on YouTube or any audio platform. Also, follow us on Facebook at Clark and Addison, Born into the Ivy, or on Twitter at dbutler79 and at Born into the Ivy. Baltimore Orioles review. Like I said, the Cubs won the series, but it is a little disappointing after that because of the way they lost Game 3. A sweep would have been huge. It would have set us up great against Cincinnati and not a ton of pressure to go the 4-2 like I talked about. And really, I was starting to dream of a 5-1 end of this first half. But now you got to sweep the Reds for a 5-1. And that seems like a tall task because of who we will be facing. More on that soon. Matthew Boyd was fantastic in Game 1 on Tuesday night. 6 innings of shutout baseball. Bullpen gave up a couple runs. It's going to happen. However, it happened a lot in this series. Pete, Bregman, Swanson, and Amaya all had 2 hits in Game 1. Amaya scored 3 runs. Amaya had a hell of a game, period. 3 runs for Amaya. Cubs cruised to a 5-2 victory. Fantastic. In Game 2, Colin Ray did not have his best stuff, but he battled well. Gave up 3 runs and 5 1/3, kept the team in it, and then the offense blew up. He earned a win behind the offensive strong showing. Overall, it was a great team win with the offense too. Pete being a catalyst once again, scoring 3 runs and driving in 2. What this man has done over the last couple of months now has been absolutely astonishing. June really blew it up, and he's carrying that through. And he's carrying it through at times when he doesn't even hit for, like, he doesn't always have to hit for power for that to happen. That's what's really awesome about this. Seiya had a big home run in the 7th to make it 9-3, but Conforto and then Kelly back-to-back those guys. And then a little later in the 5th inning, the back-to-back was in the 5th. And then a little later, a 3rd home run by Pete, and it was his 2nd homer of the day. Pete is now the first Cub, I believe, to go 20-20 in back-to-back seasons, and he did both in the first half of each season, in 25 and 26. Pete's going to go 30-30. Barring some kind of crazy-ass thing, he's going to be 30-30, and at some point, I'm not saying it's definitely going to be this year, but at some point, I think Pete could go 40-40. The dude's got the talent, and he's really starting to put everything together. So, I predict he will go 40-40 at some point, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I really will be shocked if he doesn't do 30-30 for the 2nd straight year. Game 3, the offense sputtered. They only scored 2 freaking runs, which is disappointing as hell. But David Peterson bounced back in a giant, huge way. Peterson gave up a solo shot to Tyler O'Neill in the 2nd, and then he only gave up 1 other hit in the game in 5 innings. He did walk 4 batters. That's got to get adjusted. He talked about that in his post game, and he's not wrong. But he did a really good job of pitching around things, and it shows what happens when you put a great defense behind a pitcher who has some talent, and he does have talent. He blew up. He's not an ace. He's not even a 2 or a 3. Maybe. I think it would be a stretch for a 3 even. But this is a quality big league starter that the Cubs can make look way better than what he has over the past year. And they already have outside of the 2nd start. I like the guy. I think that he can provide stuff that we didn't necessarily know we wanted and needed. So, Seiya, Nico, and Pete all had a double in the game. Suzuki went 3 for 4. Happ quietly went 2 for 4. Offense just couldn't get a big hit when it was needed. They were 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position today. Cubs got robbed in the 9th, though. Nico gets on base to start the inning after an error by Gunnar Henderson. He steals second after Kit Reg disengaged twice. A couple pitches later, he steals second. He beats the throw, but he slid off the base. However, it was a classic case of obstruction to the base runner. He was in the base path before the ball got there. So you can't say, like JD kept trying to say, well, I think he was trying to make the play on the ball. You're just trying to cover for the bull crap call that happened. That's all. Stop covering for bull crap. That's why people get so frustrated with JD and Boog. Because sometimes it's okay to be a homer, dude. Sometimes it's okay to be a homer. Boog will never be a homer. But JD can be if he's with the right guys. But when he's with Boog, JD is different than he's with Alex. Alex Cohen is a far better Cubs play-by-play than Boog. I'm not saying he's a better play-by-play overall. Boog is fantastic at that. But he's not fantastic at being a Cubs play-by-play broadcaster. And you all know what I mean by that. If you don't, leave me a comment and I'll explain it to you. But JD follows whoever is with him, and I get it. That's part of his job. Like, he's the color analyst. You go with where they're directing you. But damn, sometimes it's okay to be a homer, boys. So they called him out. He was also pushed off some by Gunnar Henderson. Like, you could see why he would have been called safe looking at that. But the obstruction was clear-cut case, and why that's not something that they look at when they review is bullcrap. And it's just bullcrap, period. Tell me I'm wrong, because I'm not. But I'm going to leave that alone now. Oh, and then Ian Happ gets a single, infield single. So it would have been first and third, nobody out. You tell me we wouldn't have scored then? It's not the sole reason we lost that game, but it was our chance to win and to tie and maybe come back and win after we had given up 2 in the bottom of the 8th. That's the reason we lost. The bullpen again. The bullpen, and how many innings was it? 8 runs and 9 2/3 innings this series by the bullpen. That's just not okay. I understand that the bullpen is not solidified. It's not. I know that there's a lot of issues with the bullpen right now. But come on, guys. We've got to do better than this. Just got to. Rolison, Ferguson, Theobar, and Pomeranz all gave up those 8 runs throughout the series. Not in one game. There are only 3 more games left before the All-Star break. And we will play Cincinnati in Cincinnati Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Woo, let's go. We will preview that here in a few minutes. However, a few notes. MLB Draft will be this weekend starting Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. The rounds on Saturday will be rounds 1 through 4, and on Sunday will be rounds 5 through 20. The Cubs have 21 total overall picks. On Saturday, they will have 5, I believe. Yes, 5. Their first round pick is pick number 23, and then they will have 62, 75, 98, and 126. They also have pick 159 in round 5. So they have 6 picks in the top 159, which will be huge. That's going to be another part of adding to the farm system, restocking all that. I think that some of those guys are going to be going, not necessarily the guys being drafted, but that's going to happen, folks. Otherwise, we can kiss the whole thing goodbye because this pitching is just not good enough. Starters or relief. It's just not. And it has to get better, and we got to push other guys back into positions where they're comfortable. I think Jacob Webb is the only guy who's in a position that he's not normally that looks somewhat comfortable. Rolison is starting to look uncomfortable at times the more he's kind of been counted on. I love the guy. I think that he is a solid guy. It's not the first time that he's had a rocky road and he found his way back. I think that will happen again. But it's been a bit rough. It's been a bit rough. Like Theobar and Pomeranz, if we can have those guys as like 5, 6 inning guys, 5th or 6th inning, maybe 7th at the most, That's a great thing. Rollison, if he can be the 7th, 8th inning, Webb can be the 7th, 8th inning. Put Maton in the 5th, 6th. And when he comes back healthy, those are good spots for these guys. We need to add a guy like Andrew Kittredge. It would have been great if we could have come away from that series and he could have come along with us, because I loved watching that guy pitch last year. He did a fantastic job, and I would love to see us try and go get him again. There seems to be a good rapport with the Orioles that Jed had, and because they traded him right back, like there was some kind of agreement with that last year at the end of the season, and which was fantastic. So hopefully that was kept, and maybe there's a chance we could go get a guy like that again. But I think that we need a big guy too. But we need probably 2 additions in the bullpen, and I still think we need 2 additions in the starting rotation. I got off on my from the draft. So back to the draft, folks. I apologize. Players connected to the Cubs in some mock drafts for their first pick, number 23 overall, include Aiden Robbins, outfielder from Texas. That was via Fangraphs mock draft. AJ Garcia, outfielder from Virginia, via Sports Illustrated's latest mock draft. Hunter Dietz, a left-handed pitcher from Arkansas, via Bleacher Report. Mason Edwards, a left-hander from USC, via ESPN. And Daniel Jackson, catcher from Georgia, via Baseball America. I think that they're going to end up going with a college bat because that's what they do a lot. I don't think that there is a clear-cut pitcher that's going to be available when they pick that makes sense to use and draft that player in the first round, even though we really
go Cubs, go
the pitching. Because Jackson Wiggins is really the only high-profile starting pitcher in the organization right now, and the dude can't stay healthy. There are a few guys that I think could grow into that. Caleb Wing is one of them. And I've talked about those guys before, and we'll talk about them a little more next week probably, but as we get ready for the second half. But there's not a clear-cut guy. Like, they could use a huge talent guy like that. Hopefully they get an ad pitching in the second and third round. But I think that the safe bet here is to go with a college bat. A Daniel Jackson would be freaking awesome. I have no problem with an outfielder. We need outfielders too. I mean, and we need guys who could end up getting traded. Who knows what happens with these picks? But we need an infusion of more minor league talent and young talent to go into the minors. And some of those guys will be to replace guys who get traded because we are in the thick of it and we do need more pitching. The offense, if they continue to do what they didn't do today and play like they did in the first 2 games, will need better pitching to complement it if we want to go anywhere. So, I'll shut up now about that. And we'll talk more about it later. But just to give you idea of guys who might be drafted with that first pick, and then watch for, and I will break it down after the draft early next week. So the Futures game will be played Sunday at noon Eastern Time as part of the All-Star Game festivities in Philadelphia. Cincinnati Reds preview, final preview of the first half. The Reds come into the series at 42-49, 15.5 games back, 9 back of the Cubs. They are playing like a different team than when we played them last. They are 3-7 in the last 10. They're currently playing right now. Let me see what the score is there. Sorry, it's taking a minute to load up here. The Cincinnati Reds are done. I apologize. They lost 1-0, so they are now 42-50. Brady Singer pitched a good game. That's a shame for him, but their offense is just hasn't been there really all year. The pitching was really good, and then the pitching's faltered some. Sorry. Hunter Green is back, though. He did not have a good first start. But this young man is an excellent pitcher. He throws with high velocity, and he will pitch Friday night 0-1 with a 21.60 ERA against Shota Imanaga 5-7 with a 4.28 ERA. Shota, for his career, has 4 starts against the Reds, is 2-0 with a 2.63. Hunter Green, though, has 9 starts against the Cubs, 5-1 with a 3.38 ERA. On Saturday, we got Javier Assad, 6-1 for the year, 4.15 ERA versus left-hander Nick Lodolo, 3-2 with a 4.68 ERA. Assad, 9 games, 6 starts, 0-2, but has a 3.19 ERA against the Reds. Lodolo is 9 starts against the Cubs in his career with a 2-2 ERA, or 2-2 record, and a 4.63 ERA. I was a little surprised at how high his ERA was against us, so that gives me a little bit of hope. I think we could take 2 or 3 here. Before I tell you the last game, I am not excited about Sunday's matchup. I said that I think last episode. Sunday is Matthew Boyd, 4-1 with a 3.41 ERA against Andrew Abbott. This has nothing to do with Boyd. I think this is going to be a pitcher's duel. I hope. Abbott 5-5 with a 3.92 ERA for the year, but he kills the Cubs. He's already shut us down once this year. Boyd 1-0, or in one start, is 0-0 with a 9.00 ERA. I was at that game last year when he pitched in that game in Cincinnati against the Reds. He went 4 innings, gave up 4 runs in the first. I mean, it was a disastrous first inning. And then the Cubs came back, and I was there with my buddy TJ, and I hope he's watching this, and he's like, I hate you. Because he should hate me, because I gloated in that man's face because the Cubs came back, and that was Pete's big game when he hit that long, towering home run and hit the flagpole, and it was freaking awesome. And TJ cried. He literally cried. I'm just kidding. He didn't really, but he might as well have. So, TJ, leave me a comment because that was funny. Andrew Abbott, though, in 8 starts against the Cubs, is 3-1 with a 2.23 ERA. And that's not it. Listen to this crap. His first start of his career, or his first year in his career, he had 2 starts against us with a 4.66 ERA. That's factored in that 2.23. Since then, he had a 1.80 ERA in 24, a 1.88 ERA in 4 starts last year, and he's got a 0 ERA in 1 start so far this year. This dude owns us. In 8 starts, 6 starts of those 8, he's had 1 run or less against us. 3 of them have been 0 runs. This man owns the Chicago Cubs. They've gotten to him twice with 4 runs, once last year. So it can be done. But it's going to be hard to do, and we need to win these first 2 games, frankly. The Cincinnati Reds are led offensively by none other than Elliot De La Cruz, J.J. Bleday also. De La Cruz has an 837 OPS, Bleday an 831, Sal Stewart an 822. The dude is legit. And Nate Lowe with a 780 OPS. They also have several Cub killers who are not doing great this year, but could just blow up on us. And Suarez, TJ Friedel, and Tyler Stevenson. Their bullpen has been led by Brock Burke, left-hander with a 3.12 ERA. TJ Antone, I don't know if I said that right, but it's not T and J, it's T-E-J-A-Y. So, a 2.42 ERA, dude has been electric. And Graham Ashcraft, a righty with a 3.33 ERA. And Caleb Ferguson, southpaw, with a 2.00 ERA. Again, don't forget to follow us on Facebook at Clark and Addison Born Into the Ivy, or on Twitter at dbutler79 and at Born Into the Ivy. I'm sorry. Thank you for watching and or listening to Clark and Addison Born Into the Ivy. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave us a 5-star review and some comments along the way on YouTube and or any audio platform. Have a great day, and let's go Cubs.